Greetings. This is Doc Ock here today, coming at you live and direct with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9. So let's see, what do we have for today? The proverb for today is, it takes two to quarrel. It takes two to quarrel. Very straightforward. Côte d'Ivoire. That is from the country of Côte d'Ivoire, West Africa. Poem today. Did you just question my reality? It's a short poem by me. Did you just question my reality? This is some shit. It seems I've just been gaslit. You've been gaslit when you just can't believe what your eyes did see or your ears did hear. You've been gaslit when up is down and round is square. You've been gaslit when left is right and right is wrong. You've been gaslit when your senses can't convince you that the truth is right before you. You've been gaslit when you have to deny reality in order to maintain your sense of sanity. You've been gaslit when your mind is confused and you always lose. You've been gaslit when you have to lose to win. You've been gaslit. Ain't that some shit? And there we have it. You've been gaslit. Yeah, I think that's quite appropriate for today. One of the things I talked about in my write-up from the second part 2 yesterday is that we've heard about a lot of people in the West. We heard all about Daniel Boone was a man, was a big man. I still remember the song from my childhood. Okay, Daniel Boone was a man. Okay, that's nice. But where's the black man at? Where is the black man? That's all I want to know. Show me the black man. You mean there wasn't a black man around? Not one, not even one. James Beckwourth, right over here. Born 1798. 1798. That puts him square dead in the middle of Daniel Boone's time. Right there in the middle of it. He lived, I believe the Alamo happened after he was gone, possibly. But certainly it didn't happen before he was around. A mountain man, an explorer, an adventurer, a entrepreneur, Indian chief. He was all that and a blacksmith too. But for some reason, I never heard of him and neither did you. So we're going to continue on with his story today. Going to read a little bit further. We won't be able to finish off the story, but maybe I can skip ahead a little bit. Okay, maybe I can skip ahead a little bit to another part. Now, we were reading yesterday. Oh, let me see. Actually, I do want to, I want to finish off this part we were reading yesterday. This is chapter 2, and then we'll see if we can skip ahead some. Yeah, we got a little bit of time. Oh, yeah, we got quite a bit of time here left. So let's see how far we can get with the story of James P. Beckwourth. Now, this is in the early days here, and he's talking about the Native Americans and his relationship with the Native Americans. Let me see, where do we leave off at here? Yeah, okay. So he says here, he's talking about the Native Americans and how, and the similarities between one Native American culture and another. So you got, the Pawnees, the Cheyenne, the Cherokee, the Blackfoot, you got different ones. And they have different ways because they lived in different areas, different types of structures they used to build with, types of lifestyles in terms of what they ate and how they got their food, their mainstays for their food, etc. So, but he says some of the things he found that were in common. after encountering Native Americans in many parts of the country is that all believe in the same great spirit, all have their prophets, their medicine men, and their soothsayers, and are alike influenced by the appearance of omens, thus leading to the belief that the original tribes throughout the entire continent, from Florida to the most northern coast, have sprung from one stock and still retain in some degree of purity the social constitution of their primitive founders. That's where we left off yesterday. I remained in the region for a space of 18 months, occupying my leisure time by working in the mines. This is after he helped negotiate this treaty between the Sacs and the Fox nations and the United States government. Still in the state of Missouri, or just north of Missouri, up in that territory. During this time, I accumulated $700 in cash, and feeling myself to be quite a wealthy personage, I determined upon a return home. My visit paid, I felt a disposition to roam farther and took passage in the steamboat Calhoun, Captain Glover, about to descend the river to New Orleans. My stay in New Orleans lasted 10 days, during which I was sick with the yellow fever, which I contracted on the way from Natchez to New Orleans. It was midsummer, and I sought to return home, heartily regretting I had ever visited this unwholesome place. As my sickness abated, I lost no time in making my way back, and remained under my father's roof until I had in some measure recruited my forces. Being possessed with the strong desire to see the celebrated Rocky Mountains and the great western wilderness so much talked about, I engaged in General Ashley's Rocky Mountain Fur Company. The company consisted of 29 men who were employed by the fur company as hunters and trappers. We started on the 11th of October with horses and pack mules. Nothing of interest occurred until we approached the Kansas village, situated on the Kansas River, when we came to and encamped. Here it was found that the company was in need of horses, and General Ashley wished for 2 men to volunteer to proceed to the Republican Pawnees, distant 300 miles, where he declared we could obtain a supply. There was in our party an old and experienced mountaineer named Moses Harris, in whom the general reposed the strictest confidence for his knowledge of the country and his familiarity with Indian life. This Harris was reputed to be a man of great leg, in other words, a great traveler, able to go a great distance in a day, and capable from his long sojourning in the mountains of enduring extreme privation and fatigue. There seemed to be a great reluctance on the part of the men to undertake in such company so hazardous a journey, for it was now winter. It was also whispered in the camp that whoever gave out an expedition with Harris received no succor from him, but was abandoned to his fate in the wilderness. Our leader, seeing this general unwillingness, desired me to perform the journey with Harris. Being young and feeling ambitious to distinguish myself in some important trust, I asked leave to have a word with Harris before I decided. Harris being called, the following colloquy took place. Harris, I think of accompanying you on this trip. Very well, Jim, he replied, scrutinizing me closely. Do you think you can stand it? I don't know, I answered, but I'm going to try. But I wish you to bear one thing in mind. If I should give out on the road and you offer to leave me to perish, as you have the name of doing, If I have strength to raise and cock my rifle, I shall certainly bring you to a halt. Harris looked me full in the eye when he replied, Jim, you may precede me the entire way and take your own job. If I direct the path and give you the lead, it will be your own fault if you tire out. That satisfies me, I replied. We will be off in the morning. The following morning, we prepared for departure. Each man loading himself with 25 pounds of provisions, besides a blanket, rifle, and ammunition. And ammunition each. We started on our journey. After a march of about 30 miles, I in advance, my companion bringing up the rear, Harris complained of fatigue. We halted, and Harris sat down while I built a large cheering fire, for the atmosphere was quite cold. We made coffee and partook of a hearty supper, lightening our packs, as we supposed, for the following day. But while I was bringing in wood to build up the fire, I saw Harris seize his rifle in great haste, and the next moment bring down a fat turkey from a tree a few rods from the camp, immediately reloading, for old mountaineers never suffer their guns to remain empty, not even for one moment. While I was yet rebuilding the fire, crack went his rifle again, and down came a second turkey, so large and fat that he burst when he struck the ground. We were thus secure for our next morning's meal. After we had refreshed ourselves with a hearty supper, my companion proposed that we should kill each a turkey to take with us for our next day's provision. This we both succeeded in doing, and then, having dressed the 4 turkeys, we folded ourselves in our blankets and enjoyed a sound night's rest. The following morning, we breakfasted off the choicest portions of 2 of the turkeys and abandoned the remainder to the wolves, who had been all night prowling round the camp for prey. We started forward as early as possible and advanced that day about 40 miles. My companion again complained of fatigue and rested while I made a fire, procured water, and performed all the culinary work. The selected portions of last evening's turkeys, with the addition of bread and coffee, supplied us with supper and breakfast. After a travel of 10 days, we arrived at the Republican Pawnee villages, when what was our consternation and dismay to find the place entirely deserted. Well. They had removed to their winter quarters. We were entirely out of provisions, having expected to find abundance at the lodges. We searched diligently for their caches, places where provisions are secured, in parentheses, but failed in discovering any. Our only alternative was to look for game, which, so near to an Indian settlement, we were satisfied must be scarce. I would break my narrative for a while to afford some explanation in regard to the different bands of the Pawnee tribe, a subject which at the present day is but imperfectly understood by the general reader, the knowledge being confined to those alone who by living among them have learned their language and hence become acquainted with the nature of their divisional lands. The reader perhaps has remarked that I related we were on a visit to Republican Pawnee villages. This is a band of the Pawnee tribe which is divided. The Grand Pawnee Band, the Republican Pawnee Band, the Pawnee Loops or Wolf Pawnees, the Pawnee Picks or Tattooed Pawnees, and the Black Pawnees. You got to have some Black Pawnees. No, that's right. The 5 bands constitute the entire tribe. Each band is independent and under its own chief, but for mutual defense, or in other cases of urgent necessity, they unite into one body. They occupy an immense extent of country, stretching from beyond the Platte River to the south of the Arkansas, and at the time I speak of, could raise from 30,000 to 40,000 warriors. Like all other Indian tribes, they have dwindled away from various causes, the smallpox and war having carried them off by thousands. Some of the bands have been reduced to one half by this fatal disease, in many instances introduced designedly among them by their civilized brethren. That's parentheses, in parentheses there. Now, who would their civilized brethren be? Hard to say. He doesn't get real specific there. A disease more particularly fatal to the Indians from their entire ignorance of any suitable remedy, their invariable treatment for all ailments being a cold water immersion, is not surprising. It is not surprising that they are eminently unsuccessful in their treatment of the smallpox. Horse stealing, practiced by one band upon the other, leads to exterminating feuds and frequent engagements, wherein great numbers are mutually slain. The following interesting episode I had from the lips of the interpreter. Some 32 years ago, during Monroe's administration, a powerful Indian named Two Axe, chief counselor of the Pawnee Loup Band, went to pay his great father, the president, a visit. He was over 6 feet high and well proportioned, athletic build, and as straight as an arrow. He was delegated to Washington by his tribe to make a treaty with his great father. Being introduced, his father made known to him through the interpreter the substance of his proposal. The keen-witted Indian, perceiving that the proposed treaty talked all turkey, quote unquote, to the white man and all crow to his tribe, sat patiently during the reading of the paper. The reading finished, he arose with all his and in that vein of true Indian eloquence, in which he was unsurpassed, declared that the treaty had been conceived in injustice and brought forth in duplicity, that many treaties had been signed by their great fathers' concoction, wherein they bartered away the graves of their fathers for a few worthless trinkets, and afterward their hearts cried at their folly, that such Indians were fools and women. He expressed his free opinion of the great father and all his white children, and concluded by declaring that he would sign no paper which would make his own breast or those of his people to sorrow. Accordingly, Two Axe broke up the council abruptly and returned to his home without making any treaty at all with his great father, in quotes there. Yeah, well, that actually took up all of our time. I didn't think it was going to take quite that long to read that far, but we're now at the beginning of chapter 3. So if you want to continue this, all you have to do is get a copy of the book, which at some point in time, I don't have it ready yet. I will put a link for you to get the book online on our website, www.blakfacts.org. So you can go there, and you will be able to go there and pick up a copy of the book. In the meanwhile, just go there and check out what we've left for you to read, because we have left some reading material there for you. Different topics, but they're all related. As far as today, we're going to finish. We're now finished with what we're going to do in terms of James P. Beckwourth, because we've got other fish to fry. So we're going to move on, and we're going to, from people that traveled by foot to people that traveled by foot and by water. So we're going to just change up here a little bit. We're going on to our next person, which will be York, Brother York. All right. Not New York. This is Old York. Matter of fact, actually, literally Old York. Well, maybe he's Young York because his daddy was Old York. Okay. But now all y'all know about is New York. But we're going to deal with some York Jr. from Old York. And yeah, we're going to tell his story of his travels with Lewis and Clark. Who was York? When did he live? What did he do? And why do we even need to remember this particular black man out there on the western frontier, carving out and pioneering in a way? Why should we remember him? So tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow we will be black. That's a fact. You can also catch us tonight at 9. Please don't forget, do your due diligence. You can make your donation right below. You see the link below if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, then you're going to go ahead and subscribe below so that you can get notified when we're back, when we're online next time. You can also go direct to the website and make a donation there on our GoFundMe page. So there's a number of ways. Just look for the donation. There'll be a donation link at the top. So there are a number of ways that you can assist us in continuing our work of presenting Black history to you live and direct 2 times a day, 366 days out of a year. That's right, 366, because you know there's some years we have a few more days. Meanwhile, this is Doc Ock signing off. We will check y'all tomorrow or later tonight. Either way, we're going to make it right. Peace out, y'all.